name is Karolina. I'm 23. I identify as bisexual, and I'm originally from Poland. So I've not entirely come out to my family just yet. Some of them I assume do know about it or are aware of it, but I haven't officially come out to them at all, and that's mostly because they are very much religious. They're a Catholic family, as most of Poland is. My entire life I've heard them, talk about LGBT people, LGBT plus people, in not a positive light and not a positive setting. They wouldn't really be entirely neutral, they wouldn't be entirely negative, just some off comments that I would hear then and again that would just make me absolutely terrified. As soon as I realised that obviously I wasn't entirely straight, or straight at all really. One of the most vivid memories that I have is of my mum when I was watching the movie Freaky Friday with her. You have what's his name? Chad Michael Murray, I think, is the actor in question, and I had a bit of a crush on him, and I was like talking about it to my mum, and she would tease me about it as mums do about things like that. But at one point she said something like, and that's really vivid in my mind, she said at the end of teasing me, at least I know you're normal, or like, at least I know that you're straight. That's what she meant. The word normal was kind of like a key phrase that to me, at the back of my head, I thought to myself, but I'm not, I just haven't told you yet. You just don't know it. And that really struck with me. That one moment, or that one sentence, that really made me terrified of coming out to my family. I think people don't really understand that with religious families, especially with my family, for example, it's not as easy as some other people have it. My life with my family up to this point has been so tight and like so intimate. We're just really a tight group. We're like, it's ride or die pretty much. I like to say that my family is kind of like the mafia, because they would do anything for you. They would jump into the fire for you, but you have to fulfill certain requirements. And me not being straight, I'm breaking the rules pretty much by not adhering to their standard of what a person should be like. So obviously like cis and straight. And that's the reason why I haven't come out to them, especially to the older generation. I think some of the younger people know, like people from my generation know, like my cousins. I'm pretty sure that they suspect it or they know it already. We haven't really talked about it entirely. I'm terrified that they will let my parents know. I'm terrified that they will let my grandparents know. And my grandparents are very traditional and like, they just wouldn't understand, I don't think. So at the moment, even though I am living openly as a bisexual person, I don't talk to them about it and I try to keep it away from them. And I'm just scared of their reactions. That's about it. I would say that I'm most scared of coming out to my mum because, first of all, because of the entire like Freaky Friday thing, because I know where her mindset is, but also because I feel like I would be betraying her trust a little bit if that's the right way to say it. I've been kind of living a lie up to this point. And it's hard to think about what she might say because she's very religious, and no judgment on that side from me, because I'm not religious, but I feel like that would be betraying her worldview, betraying the way that she sees me, that she has seen me up to this point. So her reaction is the one that I am the most scared of. I feel like my dad would probably not really be that negative. He would probably be a bit surprised and he would probably be a bit like, oh, okay. But he wouldn't be that betrayed. That's the word I guess I'm going to use. I think this is the time to tell them. I think that maybe, hopefully with enough confidence, I can actually let them know, because I'm going to see them for Christmas. So I think it's about that time. Again, I'm 23, like I'm an adult, And I am living openly as a bisexual person, so I want them to know this, because I don't want to be living as like living an incomplete life without them knowing everything about me, pretty much. They're my parents, and I love them, and I want them to know. The representation of like LGBT plus people in Poland is just not great, to put it very mildly. It's entirely under the rugs. It's getting a little bit better these days, but especially for me growing up, there wasn't any sort of role model that I could relate to. There wasn't anyone, especially like me, who was also bisexual, that I could just be like, this is the person I want to be with. I'm relating to that person. I could never find anyone like this in Polish media. So what I did was obviously look for that in foreign media. And one of the shows that I grew up with, I started watching, I think I was about 13, was the show Skins. And I absolutely loved it, just in general. My favourite character was Maxxie in that show. He was just a gay boy. He was like a tap dancer and an artist, and I kind of really related to the artist part, especially because I draw as well. So I really liked him. He was just like very positive. He was very open. All of his friends were aware of him being gay, and none of them had any problems with it. I wasn't out to anyone at that time. I wasn't even certain of my identity, like myself. So really seeing that, I think, helped me a lot with kind of coming into terms with my own identity first and foremost, and then also trying to start thinking about telling people. There was one episode that I remember very clearly where Maxxie and his best friend Anwar got into a fight because Anwar was Muslim, and he kind of realized that his religion did not see Maxxie as like a valid person. Let's say that the religion was in conflict with his best friend's identity. And at first he decided to choose his religion because obviously on the religious side he had his family and he had everyone around him telling him that, you know, being homosexual is wrong. And that really struck a chord with me, it really did. Because obviously that was the main reason why I wasn't coming to terms with my identity. I was also going to Catholic school at that time, which really didn't help. So obviously I had everyone around me just telling me that anything that's out of the norm is wrong and sinful. You're going to go to hell, pretty much, for anything that's not standard. So that episode really struck a chord with me. And towards the end of it, Anwar actually does realise that, you know, Maxxie is still his best friend, that it doesn't matter who he like decides to fall in love with, or like that who he likes, who he's attracted to. It doesn't really matter. It's all about the friendship. He's still his best friend. And his family actually does also as well kind of accept Maxxie. And that kind of made me want to cry, to be honest, because I didn't see my family ever doing that, ever really being like, yes, you are who you are and we accept you as you are. I couldn't see that happening. So that really terrified me, and that really made me want to push away my identity and just pretend to be as they wanted me to be. So one of the biggest turning points in my life, in terms of kind of realizing that there is a community out there of LGBT plus people that could potentially be, you know, my community as well, was when I can't actually remember, about 11, 12-ish years old. I read an article. It was in this really trashy like magazine for tweens back in Poland. One of them had a cover story about I think at the time, one of the youngest, if not the youngest, people who started transitioning. And I remember I got really curious about that because I had never really heard about a trans experience from a trans person. And this article had the interview with this person specifically. So I was really curious about that. Because of the fact that this person was also roughly the same age as I was at the time, it really, really like struck a chord with me. So this girl is a songwriter and a singer now. Her name is Kim Petras. It was quite a famous case. Again, one of the youngest people that started transitioning. I believe she started about 13 years old. And she had been questioning her her gender identity literally since she was born, pretty much. And her parents were just very accepting of that and would just help her kind of go through that transition. And reading about it, especially like with an interview from her perspective, her saying that whenever she was born, she always would, reject like boys' toys, like little cars and whatnot. She wanted her hair long, and she was always referring to herself in with her female pronouns. She always knew she wanted to transition, and she's doing very well these days as well. She's a very popular songwriter. But I remember just reading it, just being alone in that room while my family was doing whatever downstairs, and just being like by myself, reading this article about this person who questioned her identity and who actually had the possibility to become the person that she truly wanted to be. It made me hopeful in a sense, because I thought, well, if she can do it, then, surely I can do it too. Surely I can come to terms with what I'm feeling, even though everyone around me is telling me it's wrong, I could still come to terms with it and I could still fight for it. And it especially changed my view on trans people specifically. There is a quite famous in Poland politician called Anna Grodzka. She is very famously a trans woman who was in the Polish parliament for a while, which had been unheard of at the time. It was also roughly 2011-ish. And she had been the object of ridicule for ages, literally since I'd known about her, especially in my family. So she would come on the TV, obviously. She was a very popular gossip subject. She would be there, she would give an interview, or she would give a speech in the parliament. She was just doing her job, and people around me would mock her for the way she looked. And before I'd read that article, I would buy into that mindset. And after reading the article, I sort of understood, oh gosh, well, maybe they're just people who are living their lives, and maybe it's not actually any of our business. And it's not funny. It's just who they are, It's just the way they're identifying. And that was a huge revelation to me, literally mind blown, when I kind of realized they're just living their lives. They're not hurting anyone. They just want to be happy, and they're finding ways to become happy. And why would I tear that down? Because the church tells me to, or because my family tells me to. Why would I ever do that to them? Why would I think about them like that? And if I'm thinking about them like that right now, what will people think of me when I do eventually, in the future, in the distant future, come out? What will people think of me? And hopefully I can find something that is going to change their mindset, just like mine did, and make it a bit easier. If there's one thing that I need more experience on and come to terms with, really, is the fact that I will have to eventually come out to my family. That's the scariest bit. I'm bisexual, I identify as bisexual, and I won't let anyone question it. But at the moment, I am in a straight relationship. I have a boyfriend. I feel like I have it easy at the moment, because, I can just turn to my family and I say, oh, this is my boyfriend. And they won't change their mind about me, at all. But at the back of my head, I'm still thinking, I don't know what's going to happen. It's what if in the future, if I get a girlfriend, I'm going to have to tell them. I can't just keep it in secret forever. What happens if this is the person that I want to spend my life with? I'm going to have to tell them. And it's terrifying, honestly, because I'm flying under the radar at the moment, but in the future I may have to tell them still. So I guess it's just thinking about just tearing off that band-aid, that plaster, just now, as soon as possible, really, just so I can finally live a full life, and not I'm incomplete. Whilst I was questioning myself, whilst I was questioning my identity, I had a best friend, a female best friend, who was, let's call it, curious about things, right? Like trying out things with girls. And she was my best friend. So obviously, like, as soon as she started, asking people around if they were up for things, I was like the first choice. I was like, okay, let's see what's going on, because I'm questioning myself as well. I've never told anyone, but I'm questioning myself as well. So let's see what happens, pretty much. Yeah, I need to try this. I have to try, otherwise I won't ever know. And without going into much detail, we did try things, and she had been my best friend for like 3 years. And after things happened, after I agreed to try things with her, I've not spoken to her for like 7 years. It was really difficult. Immediately losing someone who was really close to you, who like shared all your secrets with. It was just heartbreaking, really. I've only just recently reconciled with her, and I've only recently just started like talking to her again, and like really trying to mend our friendship, pretty much, and like try to pretend that everything is normal, try to pretend like everything is fine. We haven't really spoken about it. We haven't really said like, hey, remember back in the days, that thing that ruined our friendship for ages. She really wanted to try things, right? That was just like a little thing for her. That was just like her little want at the moment. And for me, that was part of who I was as a person. That was me trying to find out who I am. And she really treated it like that as well. And that hurt me. Like, that was really, really huge for my identity. And the fact that you were treating it as a adventure, I guess, or like as an anecdote that you can tell to your other friends, I was really angry. 7 years worth of anger, pretty much. It did have an impact on me, like a huge negative impact on me for ages, but at the end of the day, she was my best friend, and the fact that she came to me first was really important as well. The fact that she came to me and started just chatting to me and started just being, just talking to me like we did back in the day, that was really important as well. We chat like all the time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her again. Hopefully maybe talk about things and see where we can go from there. Optimistic. I'm looking forward to seeing her and just finishing off and mending that friendship.